Just gone 5 o'clock. It's time to open the drawer again and pick which clone fragrance I will be reviewing tomorrow. So, eyes are looking away. 444. The Essence Vault 444. That is a clone of Tom Ford's Lost Cherry. So, yes, looking forward to doing that one in the morning. Yes, good morning. It's that time of the day again. It's 6:45, which means it's time to get out and do a morning workout, a fitness fragrance review. And what fragrance am I reviewing today? Well, it's this one here. It's the Essence Vault 444. Finally, a nice, easy number to remember. What is this a clone of? It's a clone of Tom Ford's Lost Cherry. Now, all the other fragrances I've currently done, the clone fragrances that I've been working through over the course of this week, obviously there's more to come, have all been fragrances I'm not familiar with. This one, though, I'm familiar with the original. I've owned Tom Ford Lost Cherry a couple of times. My brother currently still has that one as well, so I can always compare it through the day. So yeah, this is the one where I can really give a proper review of how good is this clone of the original. If you haven't seen these fitness fragrance reviews before, essentially I do a morning workout. So I go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, all while wearing this fragrance. And we rank it essentially on 5 categories. It's price/value for money, so for the clone fragrance, not the original. It's versatility, so how much you can use it in different situations. Projection, how much do I notice it during my run? We'll do a room spray test later, see how much the fragrance fills up a room. So if someone came in, would they notice it? Compliment factor, do I think this is a compliment getting fragrance? And then at the end, longevity. So before I go to the gym, I'll spray my arm and see how much the fragrance fills up the room. But Lost Cherry, what does it actually smell like? What does this clone smell like? What's in this clone fragrance? And yeah, what's the general vibe essentially? So probably gives it a little bit away in the name. But yeah, let's have a little look at the note breakdown. What's really interesting with the Essence Vault, and I've noticed this with a couple of them, they don't seem to they list the vibe of the smell and the notes that the original fragrance smells of, but then they're not actually in the full note breakdown. It's a little bit confusing. So if you haven't smelled the original Lost Cherry, it's obviously got cherry in it, but I think the main thing is this sort of, it's like a cherry liqueur with a nice bit of almond in it, and that's the real vibe, the almond and the liqueur with that nice cherry, so it's got that real boozy vibe. But if we look at the notes here, it doesn't kind of give you that vibe. But obviously it has most of those components, but just doesn't mention those other ones in it. So the top note is sour cherry. This gives the fragrance its initial burst of bright, juicy, fruity cherry. It's what you smell first and defines the perfume as a sweet, gourmand cherry fragrance. Yes, cherry is in the heart of this whole fragrance. You smell it the whole way through, and it's very, very noticeable. It's very pleasant, but you'll get that boozy accord that mixes with it that sort of tames it through. But yeah, it's named Lost Cherry, and it's meant to be the main part of the fragrance. So yeah, you 100% detect it in this clone. The middle, rose, balance and softens the sharp sweetness of the cherry, adding a touch of floral elegance. Helps make the scent rounder and less one-dimensional than candy-like cherry blast. Yeah, I think this slightly leans feminine, very, very slightly, and maybe it is that floral rose. It's a nice sweet rose rather than that really realistic, earthy, bit skanky rose can be at times. It smells a little bit like old washing, old grandma sort of smell. But no, in this one it's much more youthful, much more modern, but definitely a little bit more feminine. And then in the base from this clone fragrance, sandalwood provides a warm, creamy, woody foundation, helps the scent settle and last longer, makes the fragrance richer and more wearable as it dries down. I think for me, the thing with woods that do really well, they get rid of that harshness. They just got to bind the notes together and make it a little bit smoother around the edges. And with cheap fragrances, that can be a big problem at times. They can be really aggressive, harsh. Sandalwood in this has definitely done that. And then vetiver adds a slightly dry, woody, earthy undertone, helping prevent the perfume being overly sweet or syrupy, adds depth and complexity to the finish. Yeah, this isn't really, really syrupy, but also, or sweet even. It is much more, it's just very well rounded, and I think it's more the boozy almond note, that nuttiness that smooths it off. So maybe the vetiver is helping that. It's definitely not that really like cough syrup type sort of cherry smell. It's much, much more pleasant than that. It's like I said, it's a nice boozy sour cherry. But yeah, there's definitely some sort of almond or liqueur in this, but it's just not mentioned in the note breakdown of this one. But it does say a fruit candy perfume. I think it's much better than that. And obviously we're going to review it today. So I'm going to head out for my run in a minute. What we'll do the first 2 categories. So it's price/value for money for this fragrance, and also its versatility. How much can you use it in different situations? It's a dark one this morning, but thankfully not as windy, so you'll be able to hear me. So price/value for money for the Essence Vault 444, the Tom Ford Lost Cherry clone. Do I think it's good value for money? So it's about £25 again. All these Clove fragrances for 100ml, about £25. A little bit less if you want to get like a 50-30ml or a little sample. Do I think for this fragrance though that's good value for money? Well, I didn't mention it earlier, but obviously I mentioned that I've owned this fragrance. This is potentially the best cologne I've ever smelled. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Even if, sometimes with fragrances, particularly with cologne ones, if you smell them really up close, like right up to your nose, you can tell which one's a bit more synthetic, even if you can't if it's in the air. This one is almost 100% exactly the same. It hasn't got a harsh opening, it's genuinely not harsh at all. And my brother actually had, and this is a bit of the story, a Lost Cherry cologne a little while ago, and it's from an independent lady who made it. And it wasn't like it at all. It was like a car air freshener, because the cherry note in it was just not natural. It was really, really synthetic. It didn't replicate that smell. It had that toilet cleaner smell in the nicest possible way. And it can be really tough, particularly on cheap prices. I mean, you know, when we're talking around this sort of £20 mark, to get fragrances to replicate a really natural cherry smell, which the original Tom Ford Lost Cherry's got. It's got a really nice sour cherry smell. It doesn't smell synthetic, it doesn't burn your nostrils or anything like that. And also boozy notes. You know, when we think of the best sort of fragrances under £30, I think of Burberry London, I think of Bentley for Men Intense. And the big selling point of those is their realistic boozy notes in it, whether that's the port wine in Burberry London or the rum in Bentley for Men Intense. And this has got the best of both worlds. It's got a really quite natural, fruity type smell, but it's also got this really nice, realistic boozy liqueur smell with that sort of nutty almond, even though it's not mentioned in it. And to pull that off, okay, yes, it's meant to be a cologne, but to pull that off and make it smell so high quality is absolute testament to this fragrance. And for that reason, I'm just going to get it out quite quickly. It's 10 out of 10. It is unbelievable how they've done this. And obviously we'll talk about projection later, but I sprayed it the other day, obviously just to test it. And it's pretty strong as well. It's pretty strong. So we'll talk about that later. But for this round, for price test value for money, it's got to be a 10 out of 10. The way they've pulled this off. If this wasn't a clone and this was just an original fragrance that had been released, and, you know, Tom Ford Lost Cherry didn't exist, everyone would be flying to buy this, just like they were Bentley for Men Intense, because it really is that good. They've made a masterpiece here. So yeah, 10 out of 10. On to versatility. Versatility. How would you dress this one up? Dress this one down. Different ages, different occasions, different seasons. Well, I got my family the other day when all these clone phrases arrived. I just sprayed them on them, and they knew Lost Cherry as well, because again, my dad had owned it. And the first thing he said was, "It's really nice, but I wouldn't want to wear this in the morning." And yeah, I was like, of course you wouldn't want to wear it in the morning. This is a statement scent. This is a night out scent. The Tom Ford Private Blend is all about being that statement night out, whether that's an awards evening, a date night. You wear it for those special occasions. You know, Tobacco Vanille, Oud Wood, they're there because and they're very expensive because they are statements. You know, they stand out above the rest. And this clone fragrance has done a really good job of that. I think I personally like to wear this again more for winter, but it's not that really heavy boozy. Like sometimes rum and whiskey can be really, really heavy. But this almond cherry liqueur isn't really heavy. It's not as sticky, let's say. It hasn't got the vanilla caramel components to it, which means I think you could wear this to the office in a cool, you know, winter environment, climate controlled environment. I think it gives you that little bit more versatility than some of those others in the Private Blend line, which this clone has done a really good job of replicating here. Do I think a younger person would want it? Look, it's not as sweet and maybe youthful as some of those. It's definitely more grown up, more sophisticated. But again, they're not really daring notes here. You know, cherry's not a daring note at all. Rose, it can be, but I said it's more of a sweetened version. And I think the main reason why a younger person wouldn't buy the original Tom Ford Lost Cherry is just because of the price. This makes it affordable, and this makes it something that a younger person could definitely then, you know, buy if they're getting into fragrances. So I think anyone, you know, even early 20s, if you get an appreciation of fragrances up to any age, maybe 60s, maybe an older gentleman, slightly older one, would find this a bit too sweet and fruity, but I think anyone 21 to 60 definitely going to appreciate this fragrance and can certainly put it off without feeling it's uncomfortable. So for me, it's fall, winter, it's dress up, it's something that you might want to take to a job interview, but certainly night out, male, female, to me, I think it's absolutely, completely unisex. And for £25 with this fragrance, it makes it a lot more versatile than if you're trying to buy the original, and you can get all the different bottle sizes. So versatility for me, just because I wouldn't wear it for the gym or anything like that, that's the only thing I can mark it down for. 8.5 out of 10. It's a great scent, and it's one of the more wearable private blends in my opinion. So yeah, big fan of it. Anyway, what we're going to do then, finish this run, head back, and then we'll talk about projection. How much am I noticing this fragrance on my run? And yeah, we'll then do a run test to see what the projection score is. The run done, managed to do about 13 miles, the usual basically. It's now time to spray my room. So if you haven't seen this before, essentially I do a bit of a projection test now. Spray my room 10 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I want to see how much the fragrance fills up my bedroom. So essentially I'm going to go downstairs, talk about how much I noticed the fragrance during my run. 10 minutes time, once I've had my cup of tea, we'll come up and then we'll see if it's filled the room. So if a colleague or someone came in or a family member came into your bedroom, how much would they notice the smell? So yeah, let's head downstairs and we'll talk about projection from my run. I always nearly forget this. It's just gone 9:05. And this is just spraying mine for the longevity test later. So about 12:05, when I leave the gym later, 3 hours time, we'll do a longevity test, see if that fragrance lasts that test of time. Oh, strawberry and chamomile, what a combination. So projection during my run, how much did I notice the Essence Vault 444, the Lost Cherry clone during my workout? Not as much as I expected. I noticed it probably for the first 20-25 minutes of my run, particularly when I was talking about price/value for money. But after that, I didn't notice it at all. I didn't even notice it when I was stretching at the end, which kind of surprised me because when I did one spray of these fragrances the other day just to try them, that was the one that I could keep smelling. I couldn't get it away from me. My mum was saying the same thing. It was just the one that we noticed. It was filling up the room the most. And I wonder if it's maybe because this is more of an indoors fragrance. Again, I mentioned this before. It's not got those really sticky notes in it. It's not super heavy. It's not a heavy boozy note either. And it's not really synthetic in a good way. You know, I think the woods have essentially toned this down. A bit of that sandalwood, maybe that vetiver. It's just taken that really sharp synthetic edge that you might get with a cheap fruity talk sort of opening that you know, cherry, strawberry, they can be quite harsh at times, but in this it's been done absolutely perfectly. As I said, the clone is such an amazing like for like. But yeah, the projection wasn't great. I think if I was inside this morning though, I would have noticed it a lot better. So it's going to be really interesting to see if this fills up a room, obviously being inside, haven't got the windows open. Hoping it will do better than it did on my run really, because it was a little bit underwhelming, but maybe I should have expected that. So I'm going to finish my cup of tea, we'll head upstairs and then we'll give a score on projection. So 10 minutes has gone by, it's time to head upstairs, give a score on projection. So I can't smell it at the top of the stairs, but again, not overly surprised with that one. Right, we're going into my room now. No, this is pretty good. So I've had the door open a little bit as well, but no, that real fruity cherry smell is there 100%, and actually this is a lot better than I expected. And obviously we'll talk about compliment factor and stuff on my walk in a minute, but I've had good experience this inside before, you know, the original fragrance. And yeah, look, if someone came in now, they're going to notice this fragrance. They're going to say, wow, it smells really nice in here. And I've said this before, sometimes when you have fruity notes, when you have gourmand type notes, even boozy notes in that sort of category, some people can almost think you either smell like you've been out drinking or someone's been baking cookies or something like that. This smells like a fragrance. Even this clone one, it smells like a really nice fragrance. I don't think anyone's going to be thinking someone's been, you know, eating some really ripe cherries or anything like that. It's very pleasant, very nice, and it just feels like a statement. And I think this is an office-friendly scent. I was saying before, these are statement-type scents. You know, okay, it's cloning a scent that's over £200. You'd normally wear that on a night out or, you know, a dress-up occasion. But on a work day, on a day like today where it's probably about 11, 12 degrees, perfect for an office. People are going to like it. You're going to leave a good impression, even for daytime wear. So, yeah, I really like that. This has been one of the best in terms of filling up my room for a little while, because I haven't had many great ones lately for that. Wasn't great on my run, so We'll go 8 out of 10. I think that's fair. It's not overpowering, by the way. It's really pleasant. That's what I say about this clone. They've done really well to make a really nice, realistic boozy note, which can be hard to do at this price, and also just replicate that cherry note that is so symbolic in Tom Ford's Lost Cherry. So yeah, head to the gym now. As I just said, I'm going to talk about compliment factor on the way. Obviously, I've only just got this clone fragrance, but I've had any compliments wearing Lost Cherry before. I've told a story about this, which I will very briefly on that. And also, do I think, though, this clone will get you compliments like the original. So yeah, let's head down there and yeah, get to the gym. Compliment factor. So what's my experience of compliments with Tom Ford's Lost Cherry? Well, I won't talk too long about this story because I've mentioned this one before. But I had a compliment at work once. I was sitting with one of my colleagues, just having a chat. And then one of my other colleagues came over and said, "Oh, it smells really nice over here. It smells fruity." And my colleague who I was sitting next to, just talking with, she goes, "Oh yeah, that's the cream I've rubbed on my. It's like a raspberry cream." And she said, "Oh, that's really nice," And then they were having a conversation about it. Where can I buy it? And I knew full well, I knew 100% it was Lost Cherry what she was smelling. So I'm sure my other colleague, she probably would have bought that cream and gone, "That's not the smell I was smelling." But I didn't say anything. I kept quiet just in case I was wrong. But I know for a fact it was Lost Cherry that she was smelling. And yeah, it would have been a bit of a shock to the lady who maybe bought the cream to realise she's going to have to go and spend £250 on that fragrance to replicate the smell. Well, actually, she doesn't, does she? Because she can buy this clone, the Essence Vault 444. So do I think the Essence Vault 444 can get those same compliments? 100%. As I said earlier, the actual smell is identical, and it really is absolutely bang on. And projection so far, yeah, it's probably not quite as good, maybe not, but I do think it's going to last through the day. And as I said, this one it's not super heavy. The original fragrance, the actual fragrance, is not super heavy either. It's not one like a Tobacco Vanille where it's going to leave a big scent trail. And I think it's one of them that if you're in a crowd of a load of people on a night out or an awards evening, you're not going to walk by a load of people and they're all going to turn their heads. I don't think it's that. I think it's more one if you're standing around with a load of people for a period of time, they'll notice it, or if you've been sitting in a room for a while, they will. And I think this is best more in those intimate settings than those real big occasions. If you're with a handful of people, I think this is where this one's going to really thrive. But it's got mass appeal. I say it's a sophisticated scent than maybe a younger person. It's not as juvenile in that sense, but it's not notes that are particularly daring. We've talked about the sandalwood. There's rose, there's vetiver, there's obviously this sour cherry note, there's this boozy almond vibe to it. Nothing too daring, nothing out of the ordinary. And for that reason, people aren't going to find it too harsh. There's plenty of occasions I think you can wear this. Yes, as I said, it's not a gym fragrance, but if you want to dress it down a little bit on a cooler day, absolutely fine. I think it's absolutely fine for a day scent. It's worked absolutely fine for me today anyway. So for that reason, what am I going to give as a score? I'm going to give it a 9.5. As I said, it's not as loud as some of the others, and particularly in that private blend line. So some people might want it to be a little bit more loud. But I think it's absolutely unisex, and there's plenty of occasions then you can wear it. And for that reason, it's got mass appeal for a range of people and a range of ages. So yeah, 9.5 out of 10. Of course, we get any at the gym today, we'll bump it up to a 10. So workout done, no compliments, but I have to say, the fragrance is sticking really well to my skin. I did expect this, to be honest. I think it's one of them that actually, that fruitiness, because it's the dominant note in this, it's the thing that really stands out, lasts a bit longer, even though it's not in the base, it's in the opening. It holds really well, and this cologne has done a really good job of that. But of course, we've got to have a shower now. We'll find out how long it lasts after I've had my shower, wash my skin off, and yeah, then we'll give a score on longevity. So let's go. Just gone midday, it's time to smell Mom. Has the fragrance, has the Essence Vault 444 survived the shower? The Lost Cherry Clone by Tom Ford. To be honest, not as well as I was hoping it to, actually, just based on the smells getting the other day. Hasn't survived as well. Now, I think the original Tom Ford Lost Cherry probably would last a little bit longer than this. This one does feel like it's worn off a bit. I do think, though, a lot of that comes down to the exercise today, the heat. I wore a long sleeve top in the gym, and yeah, I was quite aggressive with washing my arms in the shower. And that all combines with the fact that I said a lot of the notes in this aren't as heavy, and maybe they didn't advertise that sort of booze. Maybe because that isn't actually in this, maybe it doesn't have quite the staying power of the original. But when you're talking, well, it's a tenth of the price, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's so much cheaper in comparison. I think I can let that slide. It's not a big enough difference. We're talking about 30% as strong here. I think it'll get you through most of the day. Honestly, if you're not doing exercise, which this isn't what it's for, you don't wear it for those occasions. If you're wearing it to wear to the office or on a cooler day, an evening out, which again is where it's best, it's going to get you through those occasions. So I can't mark it down too much on its longevity. But it's definitely not as strong as some of those other statement ones that can do those same jobs, let's say. So we'll go 7.5. It's still very good. It's still more than acceptable to most people. And we've got to remember, this is still a clone fragrance. If it was as good as the original, I think we'd all be laughing, wouldn't we? But yeah, time to head back now, count up all the scores, and yeah, I'll give my overall thoughts. We are back home, finally back home. So how many steps have I done this morning on my workout? 38,376, all while wearing this fragrance here, the Tom Ford Lost Cherry Clone by the Essence Vault, which is number 444. So what was its total score? I had to actually write this one down on a post-it note because I couldn't work it out. 43.5 out of 50. Look, it's a very high score again, isn't it? And I actually almost feel like I haven't really emphasised how much I love this today. I really think this is one of the best clones I've ever smelled. I'm just going to spit a bit on now. Yeah, it just is amazing, and that's how highly I rate it. The score is very high, don't get me wrong, but I almost feel like watching some of the clips back. Actually, I need to say this is an absolute stunner. This is the best clone fragrance. I'm going to say it now. Best clone fragrance I've ever smelled. Performance, okay, yes, it didn't get the highest score today. I think this is going to be fine for what it's really meant to be used for. It's not meant to be used for a workout. It's just an opportunity for me to review it. I will not buy Lost Cherry again. I've had Lost Cherry a couple of times. I think I've got them on a little bit cheap, but £300 probably for two. Just to get one of these for £25, it's a bargain. And that cherry note, which I said could be super, super synthetic, could be done horribly wrong. And I said my brother had one, and the note was just completely off. And I've had other boozy fragrances, Nasomato Bronda, there's a clone from Devane. It doesn't smell like it. The booziness is just wrong. This has got that boozy note absolutely spot on, that sort of cherry liqueur vibe, that almondy sort of edge, and it performs, okay, maybe not quite as well as we said with the longevity, but it's nowhere near like 10 times worse, which the price of the fragrance is. So yeah, this is one to try. If you know the smell of Lost Cherry, please try this one. I think it's a great scent in general, though. If anyone knows that smell, I think it's a perfect unisex fragrance. Very inviting, and yeah, not as heavy and linear as like a tobacco vanille, but yeah, this is the one to go for. I really, really recommend it. I think these Essence Vault clones are doing brilliantly. I've got 3 more still to do. In terms of tomorrow, though, I'm actually going to review a fragrance that I got by mistake the other week. Now, I've spoken about this one millions of times, and I went back because I was certain I'd done a review on it. I've never done an individual fitness fragrance review on Sticky Date. So tomorrow, weather's looking awful. I think I need something to keep me going, a bit more familiarity than maybe the clones, and then we'll do some more clones after this one tomorrow. So they'll be coming up over this Christmas period. But thank you very much for watching today. Yeah, let me know if you've tried any Lost Cherry clones, whether that's from the Essence Vault or from other brands as well. And I look forward to hearing your opinion on them. But yeah, for me today, huge thumbs up for that one from the Essence Vault. Thank you very much for watching. Look forward to seeing you again soon.